Hello and welcome to the New Thought Men's Podcast. I'm Eamon and I am today's guest. Podcast number 1. So I thought it would be appropriate to start off our series of podcasts with just sharing a little bit about me, a little bit about the New Thought Men's community, and a little bit about what we're here to do. Go ahead and get comfortable, and we're going to talk about this thing of men's work and why it's important, and what it does, and how it can support us in living the life that we truly want. But first, let's go ahead and start. Let's go ahead and start with a breath. I always like to start it with a breath, and with a little invocation here, just knowing that the divine life, this powerful presence and beingness of love, of wholeness, of beauty, of joy, of the manifestive, creative energy of existence. Everything that is in existence is made of this stuff, right? It's made of atoms, protons, neutrons, electrons spinning around or moving around. So we are these energetic beings, and recognizing that, we call forth our higher self. We call forth that greater presence within us that is connected to this cosmic us, the individuated us. And we know that it is a part of that wholeness, that it is a drop of water in that ocean of beingness, in that ocean of spirit, in that ocean of oneness, that for me is the cosmos, and that is everything. So it's everything in existence. And as we just breathe this in, allow our bodies to relax, just allow any stress to move out of the body and drain out through the feet, down into the floor and out into the earth. Just grounding that and being that channel, opening to this divine energy, this cosmic energy to flow in through us that we're a part of. And so it's not like it's separate from us. We're a part of it, and it's a part of us. So it is this co-creative process that we are in. And what we're calling forth is this brilliance and genius, this deep understanding and clarity of what men's work is about, of what we're here for on this planet, of what new thought is and can support us in. So as we appreciate all of this stuff, appreciate you being here, appreciate this relaxation, this affirmative treatment in this moment, this peace, we experience this gratitude in our bodies as it lets go of the stress and tension that oftentimes we take on in our days. And to be here now for the next hour, to just be present to this conversation. So as we let this go, we release this treatment or plant this treatment into the law, into the deeper understanding, into the deeper intelligence of the universe that now manifests, reflects back to us this good, this love, this joy, this happiness, this fulfillment, all the good stuff. And we let it go and know that it is so, and together we can affirm, and so it is. Oh, whew, okay, I'm feeling a little more relaxed. There is so much to talk about, so much exciting stuff that we're here for. And I think for me anyhow, as I'm looking through, on YouTube and Facebook and TikTok and, Instagram, all of the things that we're looking at these days, all the people who are talking about men and men's struggles. And there are a lot of people, let me be clear about this. There are a lot of people who are talking about this, and some are talking rather negatively. Some are trying to bolster the old experience of what masculinity is, and trying to deny the forward movement and evolution of us as men and us as people. So those aren't the people that we're connected with. We're connected with people like Richard Reeves. He is a powerful educator and talks a lot about men's struggles and what's going on in this crisis of masculinity right now. And I love what he's saying, because men are struggling on so many levels. And don't get me wrong, it's not like we're not all struggling. Women are struggling, kids are struggling, teens are struggling. So we're all struggling. This being about men does not lessen any need to do the women's empowerment work, or teens empowerment work, or empowerment work for kids. So it's in addition to all of this stuff that we come together as community and get to evolve, get to spiral upwards, as we do in spiral dynamics. We're spiraling upwards into that higher consciousness. We're moving into the greater awareness of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? We're starting out at the bottom, the physiological needs, the safety and security, the love and belonging. But then as we move up into this more inner work of self-esteem and doing the inner healing work, and ultimately self-actualization. What is the soul calling you to do? What is your soul calling you to do in this life? And I think that speaks to meaning and purpose. And with all that we have been doing lately in the New Thought Men's community, we just had our summit, and it's pretty incredible. If you haven't had a chance, I hope you can check it out. And we'll put some free sharings up for you on our website. Back to this crisis of masculinity. I want to talk just briefly about suicide. Nearly 100 men die every day from suicide, and 20 times that, 2,000 men attempt suicide every day. And so if we can't call that a crisis, I don't know what we can call a crisis. It's shocking. And it speaks to the struggle that men are going through right now. It speaks to the level of challenge, the level of the lack of purpose and meaning in our lives, meaningful work to provide for our families, our loved ones, our the people that we're responsible for, to the meaningful work in life, purpose, mission, relationship challenges, religious betrayals, the rise of technology, and our evolution to coexist with that, the environmental climate crisis, the political divisiveness, social and societal changes, and economic inequality, loneliness epidemic. There's just so many things that are going on for us as a people on this planet Earth. And so, one of the things that I think for myself, anyhow, that has helped is to be able to have a group of individuals, in my case, a men's group, that has supported me for most of my adult life, 25 years. And I quite frankly can't imagine, I can't imagine my life today without New Thought, this New Thought philosophy, and men's work and these groups of men who have supported me in becoming the best version of myself that I can be. So let's dive a little deeper into it. I think for us as men, and we're really, I think it's an interesting thing because we're working with biology, we're working with history, we're working with a lot of things that we have received not only genetically, societally, but also through reinforcement. So nature and nurture, I think, in some respects, because we're just sponges, right? We're just absorbing all this stuff. And so to look at what masculinity teaches us, what has society taught us about masculinity? What have we learned? What have we taken in? What has our family taught us? What have our friends and our coworkers taught us about this? And I think for me, when I look, it's called for us in men's work, the lone wolf syndrome. And it's all about this idea of sustainability. You got to be the man. You got to be the dude who's making it happen, who's taking care of it, who's taking care of everyone, who's providing, who's, you know, all of these roles that we have taken on, we've chosen to take on and created identity around it. Definitely societal identity around masculinity. So we look at this and we're like, this is not working. This is not working. Men are truly challenged these days because on the one hand, we're asked to be emotionally mature, right? We're asked to be in touch with our feelings, be in touch with our what's going on internally. And yet every aspect of growing up for us is about don't cry, don't express your emotions, don't men don't do that, or even boys don't do that, right? Boys don't cry. How sad is that we're learning that at age 2 or 4 or 6 or 8? Like, if you don't have it before you go to preschool, that you're not supposed to cry, or at least back in my day, then you'll get picked on, you'll get teased, you'll get bullied until you conform, right? Until you conform. And I love what the modern young people are doing these days, in just looking at what millennials, Gen Z, and Alpha coming up here are going to be working with. They have really started to break down those barriers, and they have really chosen and are saying, hey, look, these aren't working. I am a holistic human being. I have emotions, feelings, I have thoughts, I have a body, I have, a spirit, a soul, this thing that lives on beyond this physical beingness. And how can I express myself authentically? That's where the gold is, in my opinion. That's where the absolute gold is for us to be able to express this, our authenticity. When we drop the facades, and they really are facades, they may be facades that have been there for a long time, so they feel like the mask or like our face, but really it's just the mask, right? As we drop all of that, we step into a place of deeper self-acceptance. We step into a place of choosing and wanting to do the deep inner work that we're called to do as human beings. And we're really working on that. That's where the gold is. That's absolutely where the freedom for us lies as human beings, is to be able to be our authentic selves. And so as we step into this greater knowingness and understanding, this greater acceptance of ourselves. And I don't know about you, but I have some voices in my head that are not so helpful. They can be a little judgy. The critic is one voice that's in there. The judge is another voice that's in there. Having grown up Catholic, there's a guilt. Definitely a lot of voices. A guilt voice is definitely one of them. But for me, it was such an incredible experience of really coming into my own, coming into myself as I left my house and left Catholicism because it didn't work for me from a young age. I think probably 10, 12, maybe 14. I'm not exactly sure, but it really didn't work for me. And that's fine if it works for you and you're a Catholic and you're watching this, or you're a Christian, you're watching this, that's fine. That's great. I'm not trying to make that wrong or bad in any way. But it didn't work for me. And so I was really a seeker. And so I sought out Hinduism. I sought out Buddhism. I sought out a lot of the Eastern philosophies, as well as some Native American practices, sweat lodge and vision fasts and sun dances, and really sought that thing that was going to work for me, as if there was this one thing that was going to fit the mold. Well, I'm a bit of a rebel, so I have a hard time just sticking with one thing. Also, you should know about me, I am a neurodiverse person. I can get very creative with letters and numbers. They call it dyslexia, but I call it just being creative with letters and numbers. My nonconformist. What can I say? I loved exploring these spiritual paths and seeing what were the gifts, what were the things that were really potent and powerful within these different experiences, different religions, different practices, different expressions. And so for me, it took me a while, and actually I was in a poetry group, and someone said, "Oh, you're such a mystical poet." And I was like, "Oh, cool. What's that?" What does that mean? And so they told me about the New Thought spiritual philosophy. They invited me to go to Mile High Church here in Lakewood, Colorado. And I said, "Church? Oh, no, thank you." Eventually I did go. And it was like nothing I had ever experienced before. This philosophy really shows up very tangibly in our New Thought communities, in our centers for spiritual living, in our unity centers, in our divine science centers, in our Universal Foundation for Better Living centers, in all these independent centers that are all under this New Thought umbrella. And how powerful, how beautiful it was to find a place where I'm like, oh, wow, I can be who I am. I get to be my sensitive and empathic and kind and generous self. And that's actually encouraged, supported. And also I get to be my human self. I get to have my challenges. I get to have my anger. I get to have my fear and my judgments and all of that stuff. And that really, it's all a part of this human expression. that we may have this human experience. I mean, we do have this human experience, and then also all that comes with that human experience. And then paradoxically, we are these spiritual beings too, or these divine beings. Use whatever phrase works for you. And the truth is we see it as a separation, like this, or I'm either human or I'm spiritual. But the reality is that we are both. That we are and, not or. That we are these human beings having human experiences, having to drive on freeways and stand in line and work jobs and take care of people and enjoy this life as best as we can. And also, there is this spiritual part of us that is seeking some deeper understanding through this life, by having and experiencing this life, by having and experiencing our family of origin and our friends and our community and the things, the woundings, of which my core wounding is what I already have told you is having dyslexia and going through the school system was traumatic, for me, for sure. And 1 out of every 5 people has a learning challenge. So 1 out of every 5 people is not being served by the way school is being taught. And I'm sure it's gotten better in recent years, but it's still not there. As we see more and more with the full spectrum of what neurodiversity looks like, from autism to learning challenges to dyslexia to so many different things, ADHD, all of these things. And so for me, that was my wound. The challenging part was we didn't know until I was 30 years old. I didn't know until I was 30 years old that was the issue that was going on. My parents just thought I wasn't living up to my fullest potential, right? And so it was so devastating to my self-esteem. It was so devastating to my growth as a young person and my evolution as a young man and as a child, that was really, it became my core issue, and a lot of other things got attached to that. With self-esteem, or not believing in myself, not believing that it was enough, all of the stuff that you would typically see come through when you have challenges, especially around school. So for me, doing that inner work, especially doing that inner work in men's circles, was so potent and powerful that really through the New Thought philosophy and through men's work is where my healing has happened. And I'm so grateful for both of those. And that's why I actually do what I do. I am the director and lead minister of the New Thought men's community. And I love it. I love it. I thought, as I was going through ministerial school, I wasn't sure. I was like, I don't know. Because I had a vision before I went into ministerial school and said, okay, Spirit, if I'm here to be of service as a minister and I'm going to go back through 5 years of school, which is where my wounding is, like, are you kidding me? I'm going into the wound. Crazy thought. Then you better have a plan on the other side. And so for a year, I sat with that and said, okay, what's mine to do? And at one point, the still small voice came through and said, Eamon, how about creating a New Thought men's movement? Bring New Thought men's work to the New Thought philosophy. Bring those two together and just combine them. And I'm like, oh, wow. Okay, that was pretty simple and appropriate. It was exactly what I needed to hear to go into that wound, to go back to school to become a minister and go through and do the healing work around my learning challenges. Whew, yeah, it was quite the ordeal. There was a lot of healing that happened, a lot of joy, a lot of connection, a lot of challenge, a lot of sadness, a lot of having to speak up for myself and get the support that I needed, again and again. And through that process, I managed to be able to experience the healing of that core wound for me around learning. And so as I became a minister 3 years ago, I'm still learning. I'm still learning how to support this community and run this organization, to be able to encourage anyone who shows up with any kind of wound, with any challenge, or with any hope or dream that they want to accomplish. I love the fact that New Thought is like, yeah, change your thinking, change your life, right? That what we think, what we feel, what we act towards is what shows up in our life. That's the co-creative power of us as individuals with this cosmic wholeness, this cosmic oneness that says simply yes. How can I support you? Oh, you want to do the healing work? Okay, I support you in that. Let's put you through school. For some reason, I have tended to choose the hard roads in my life. And there has been a lot of learning in that, and I love it. And so, for me to now be a minister, now be teaching this and sharing this wisdom, is just my dream, is my my brilliance, my genius, my luminosity that shines forth through this community. And inviting so many others to come and be a part of that, who already are a part of that, and I know more will come, to do this inner healing work, because it frees us. It allows us, it brings us into more wholeness. It brings us into more appreciation of the good and acceptance of the good in our lives. That the inner work really is the stuff that gets us there. Now, some would say, well, look at the outer world. And yes, look at the outer world. There is so much that needs to be done out in the world, that we need to be grounded and centered and focused on our particular gifts and talents, our genius to bring forth, because the world needs it, right? It needs the light right now. We really do need to stand in that high vision that we as new thoughters do stand in, to see that greater vision, and to also acknowledge the challenges that are going on, so that we're not in denial of what's happening, some pretty crappy things that are happening in the world right now, but also just knowing that we're bringing love and compassion and peace and wisdom and all of that into that situation that is so challenging. And whether that's global warming and this huge thing that we're going to go through, and that we will need to change how we operate in this world as a society, and as a global entity that we are now, a global experience, all 8 billion of us. And so there's healing to do there. There's healing to do within our own masculinity, as we talked about a little bit earlier. There's healing to do with the feminine. There's healing to do as the inner child, right? So all of these inner things that can show up, um, that really are a call, are a beckoning for us. I think our greatest woundings are our greatest potential for healing and for changing our lives too. And so that's why we do this inner work. That's why we get together in circle, in council, and we sit and we talk, we share our reality, we share our experience. That's the importance of men's work and of men's groups. We get to do this work in a loving, safe, supportive, nurturing environment. You can't just go out onto the street and spill your guts, open your heart. We know that that just doesn't really work, and ultimately can even wind up to more wounding. So by choosing being in a conscious group of men who are holding this higher vision of healing and blessing, of knowing that you are this divine being that's unfolding, and there's wisdom in there to be gleaned, that is the truth that we recognize and that we see and that we want to be part of, encouraging, supporting, uplifting, nurturing, and inspiring men, women, everyone to do. I believe to really change this world, to really be able to embrace and embody and express and create a world that works for everyone, a sustainable world that works for everyone. I have to add that into for my own enjoyment, or my own truth, I guess. To build a sustainable world that works for everyone. Yeah. That's what I want to pass on to future generations. That's what I want to pass on to the children of today for tomorrow. And I think we're all concerned about it. It shows up in our level of stress. It shows up in our society. It shows up in everything that we're doing. And I think there's some great things that are happening out there, and also some things that aren't helping us, that are simply perpetuating the problem. And so in asking myself, what can I do in that year of visioning before I went into ministerial school? What can I do? What am I here for? This is my piece of it. To do this healing work with men is the joy of my life, is the expression of service that I choose to give to the world and to our community of New Thought. So we've kind of run through a lot of it, a little bit of my history, a little bit of New Thought. I think, yeah, let's talk a little bit about New Thought, because boy, David Alexander and I had a wonderful conversation about the liberation theology that is New Thought. And if we look at our history of New Thought, it really started with Emma Curtis Hopkins. She trained, the people who started Divine Science, the gals, the Kramer sisters, the couple that started Unity, as well as Ernest Holmes, who started the Science of Mind and Spirit philosophy, which are all under this New Thought umbrella. And that's at least the history of it. Now there's modern history of the Universal Foundation for Better Living and Ronnie Coleman, and when she created that, as well as, even the modern version of it, which is Michael Beckwith, in creating, his community, the Agape community. It is this evolution of this initial philosophy that is hundreds of years old. And even if we actually go back further, we look to the mystical teachings of spirituality. And Ernest Holmes put it this way. He's like, what is the golden thread of truth through all spiritual practices, through all spiritual experience? And I love that. I love that, because we take the best from each of these mystical teachings of Judaism, of Islam, of Christianity, of Hinduism, of Buddhism, is of all of the diversity that exists around the world, and bring it into our own philosophy. So I guess we are kind of like a spiritual buffet in that respect, but a really good spiritual buffet, right? With only the best stuff. And we get to choose which practices work for me, right? That is the spiritual path. Once we step away from religion and the dogma and the, hey, this is how it is, this is how you have to do it, the being told of what is, and taking the responsibility of our own spiritual path, then we're like, oh yeah, okay, this is does require effort. It's not like, oh, I can just be, go on Sunday to whatever and call it good. I'm assured my place is assured, my my sins are forgiven, or whatever. When we move into this place of really taking responsibility and being on the spiritual path of consciously needing to choose our path, and our path is not the same as another path. In fact, our paths are as unique as we are, all unique and different. But we take this spiritual path that we're on and own it and say, okay, yeah, what do I believe? What do I value? What do I believe in? What is true for me? What is, maybe even looking at what is true universally? But then moving into a place of, okay, if I am this individuated spirit from this wholeness and oneness, I'm a unique and creative expression, paradoxically, while still a part of this oneness and wholeness, then what am I here for? What is my meaning? What is my purpose and meaning in life as a spiritual being? And for me, and everybody has to answer this for themselves, but for me, it's to do the inner work, to heal the things that have traumatized us or been of pain to us, to heal those parts and aspects of ourselves, whether it's from, pre-birth, whether it's from, your parents, whether siblings or, students, teachers, whoever, people in our offices, et cetera, all of the things that influence us, society, all the things that influence us. And we take that and we do the healing work to really realign ourselves with that divinity within. And so as we let go of these pains, as we let go of the shadow aspects of us, and certainly doing shadow work is a powerful way to look at those things that are holding you back, and then dealing with them and being allowed to let those go and to move forward in your life and not be burdened by them anymore or as much. Sometimes they stick around a little bit just as a reminder that we need to be aware. But when we look at this, when we look at our spiritual path, our spiritual journey, then we are called to say, okay, and this has been around for a long time. Socrates, shared this with his students. It's like, who am I and what am I here for? That's the foundational question. Who am I and what am I here for? And then to do that healing work to align with that. So as this new thought movement grows, as our own spiritual understanding and expression grows and becomes the path that we are truly seeking, becomes that greater thing that we're here to do. We're here to be of service to one another. There aren't 8 billion of us on the planet for us to be able to be the sage on the mountain, or be the seeker on the mountain. We're here in the world to be of the world through the world. I believe that our highest good is always in action. And that's what we believe in New Thought. Our highest good is always in action. And once we turn that belief into, and it goes in through our perceptive lens and shifts and shakes up our perceptive lens so that we're actually able to see our good. Because if we don't believe it, we can't really experience it, right? So when we believe that our highest good is actually taking place, then even the wounding, even the challenges, even the most difficult things that we will ever have to do are a part of that journey, and I would say a necessary part of that journey that helps us formulate who we are, what we are, why we are, and what's going on. So I think what we're here for on the deep level is to be of service to each other. And I love that. I love that, because what else are we here for on some level? To get the money. Sure, we all need money to survive and to thrive. To find a partner. Sure. I mean, many of us want partners and have them or don't have them, but are looking. There's so much that this life has to offer, maybe even children, maybe even doing some good in the world through our jobs or through the work that we do, or how we show up in life, just being a good and kind person. So this is a lot of information. And so New Thought, bringing it back to New Thought and men's work, or gender work, if you want to call it that, because, obviously women's circles and women's work is just so vitally important right now as we're going through these times of societal change where the roles are changing, the experiences are changing, the perceptions are changing, everything's changing. And a lot of people don't want it to change, right? A lot of people are like, no, I don't want it to change. I want it to remain the same because it's comfortable. And so we know that it is and can be uncomfortable moving into new space, moving into new understanding, and especially trying to figure out societally who we're going to be, how we're going to be, the different and new roles that are going to show up that don't require us to fit inside a little box of, say, this is what being a man is, or this is what being a woman is, which we've so outgrown. We've outgrown that one a long time ago. And so we get to take that, we get to be a part of that change and actively engage in that change by changing our own lives. And then we get to be the model through which other people can have understanding about this or about that or about whatever it is that they're drawn to. So we're all here to be of service to one another. And I love men's work for that, because if it weren't for, probably a dozen men in my life, I honestly don't know what my life would look like these days. I really don't. And so I'm so grateful for those men, from my first mentor, Carl, to Roger Teal, who was the lead minister of Mile High Church for many, many years while I was there. And really all the teams there at Mile High that were of support and are of such high integrity and created such amazing stuff. And I know at so many of the other New Thought centers as well. But to have that community and to have that support, and then other guys in men's work, other men and women in New Thought, being able to do men's work in New Thought ultimately and help with the Mile High Church men's group, and for many, many years, and loving that and learning so much from that about how do we come together as men? How do we bring community together? How do we really live this life of integrity and of joy and of love, of freedom, of blessings, of truth, of wisdom. And so, for me, it's taken me a long time. Over 30 years, I've been in this movement and in men's work, and still love it. Still love it. So I continue to do this work, and as I grow as a minister and as a human being, still human, very human being, with all my challenges and struggles, as we all have. And I think it's important to not put people on pedestals and say, oh, that person, they've got it together. Oh, I saw this infomercial and this guy has it together, right? He only needs, $5,000 and he'll teach me how to do it. So I think what we really want to do is we want to know that we're embracing that golden part of ourselves, as Jung used to say, the golden child or the golden self, that we're not projecting that onto other people. And the same for our challenging parts of ourselves, the parts of ourselves that are in pain, the parts of ourselves that are angry, the parts of ourselves that were brought up in maybe a different world with different perspectives, that were more misogynistic or more racist. Those are the true ability for us to heal. Those are the true places in which we can go to do that deep healing work, to truly build, and that's the building process, a sustainable world that works for all. And for us in New Thought, there is this thing that, like, we believe that we are one and we are all connected, and that we are spirit. We are spiritual beings. It's called panentheism. I don't know that I want to be, put into some label, especially not as a group of people, but overall, I think that one helps describe spirit is everything, everywhere. It is in, through, and as all things, and therefore it is in, through, and as all of us. And we are the outpicturing, the growth edge of this divine beingness, right? So we're put here on earth to be the growth edge of the divine expression, to experience uniquely through our own unique and individuated experience of life. So what we're here for is to be a part of this community, or what I'm here for, and maybe hopefully what you're here for is to be a part of this New Thought community, because I believe it is the thing that will ultimately provide the support for us to evolve into this next iteration of what we are, as human beings and as spiritual beings, as energetic beings, as light beings, as, self-aware human beings, where we recognize that the good that we put into the world is the good that we get back. The pain or the anger or the hate that we put into the world is what we get back. And right now we're seeing a lot of men, and young men especially, being manipulated into that hate movement, into that movement of hate and anger and blame, of it's these people, it's this group, it's them, the them, and blaming instead of saying, yes, for us in our philosophy and New Thought, I see you. I see you as a spiritual being. You are 100% spirit. There is, you can't be any less or any more. No one is 99% spirit. There's that 1% that I wanted to hit, but I didn't quite make it. No, ridiculous. Or even 101%. We look at people like maybe the Dalai Lama or the Pope or somebody, and it's like, oh, they, or the spiritual leader that is of our community, oh, they must be 101% or 110%. They're so amazing. we don't want to, we want to own that. No, the Dalai Lama is 100% spiritual, just like everybody else. Even though he's an honored and beautiful elder, and leads the Tibetan, Buddhist movement, we recognize that we are all spirit, that we are 100%, and that we can't be any less and we can't be any more. So therefore, the idea that we're not equal in whatever way, because of the color of our skin, because of our gender, because of the money, because of the job we work, because of our sexual preference or gender preference, ridiculous. We're all 100% spirit. And I would even say that that's the necessary part of what we're expressing, right? That we get to be our unique and individual experience, our authentic self. And so bringing that back around, that's what we seek to do in men's groups, is to get down to the crux of it, to do the inner healing work, and to find that authentic self that we know is in there, that we know we've experienced, and to be that more and more and more, and experience the fear and the pain and the judgment less and less. So I think I've talked a little bit about myself, and so hopefully you know me a little better. I laugh a lot also, just warning. I like to enjoy life, and laughter is a huge part of that, and is a huge part of our ministry as well. And that joy of being together and being in community with like-minded people, oh, that's joy for me. That's pure joy. That's what it is, about getting to hang out with people who are in this new thought philosophy, who get it and who want to be a part of it, and who are uplifting me and everyone in their circle, and that I get to do the same and uplift them and everyone in my circle. So this is the blessing of community. And I think when we look at kind of these quasi community, Facebook is a great example, oh yes, you're a part of a community and all is good. Well, I think the algorithm is about selling us things and manipulating us. And that's not true community. True community is about authentically helping you express who you are, genuinely and fully. And so, while it's great to sometimes to catch up with friends that we don't see, but it's real community, face-to-face community, even though we're online, in this moment, paradoxically, but we have gatherings, we have live events too that go on. And if you want to be a part of that and have that, but we also get to be a part of this more genuine community and be our authentic selves, and to show up and to be a part of that. Not for the financial gain of selling us stuff, the capitalistic model, but of the soulful model that we at New Thought are a part of and about. So I hope, that clarifies who we are as the New Thought men's community, who I am as Reverend Eamon, and what we're here to do, which is uplift and support and nurture this good in the world. I always end all of my podcasts with this question: is what does healthy masculinity look like in the 21st century? And I think I've talked a little bit about it, but here's what it is men choosing to consciously evolve and to be a model of healthy masculinity in the world, to support this idea and expression of what is nurturing and what is supportive, what are the best things about masculinity, and what are the best things about us as men that we can bring into this 21st century. And I think it's getting to be our authentic selves. It's through this New Thought philosophy that I love. It's that I imagine if you're here, you're loving it too, that you're a part of it too, and that it has made a powerful and palpable difference in your life. And so, if we can uplift healthy masculinity and healthy femininity and healthy teenage expression and healthy children, that's the world that I'm interested in being a part of and in helping co-create. And through my own personal growth work, to hold that high vision and to raise that consciousness into greater clarity of health and well-being, greater clarity of nurturance of everyone, and ultimately building this sustainable world that works for all. I want to thank you so much for being a part of this. I just wanted to introduce myself and our community in this first New Thought Men's podcast. We have a ton more that are coming. We just completed our summit, and that has had over 20 sharings, and we recorded podcasts from that as well. And so if you want to be a part of that, if you want to see those sharings, that wisdom, and those podcasts as well, then you can become a member of the New Thought Men's community. You can check out our website at newthoughtmens.community for more information. And I just want to thank you so much for being here today and for being a part of this and for choosing this. If all you do is hold that higher vision as men and as women, as human beings, of healthy masculinity and what that looks like in our world, and support it, then that is the good deed. That is the good work. And then, we can continue that road by being the better man and being the better woman that we want to be, that we want to support the world that we want to see. So thank you for being here with us today. There's more to come. Stay tuned in.